broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 34 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. Damon is back from vacation. Welcome back.
Put clapping in there, right?
There's a sound effect later. I'm gonna, like an audience cheering. That's what I'm gonna add, right?
Okay.
we missed having you on the show, of course, and we're excited to hear about your vacation. Damon's been dying to tell us about his vacation.
I have. We had some fun stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, you said it was a very different trip, but we're gonna save that for a second here, right? We're gonna do something else first because we lately, and thank you all for this because we really love hearing from you guys. It's really cool to get emails. We've been getting emails every week from listeners, and that's been really cool because we like answering questions. And I think you guys out there enjoy when we answer your questions. So we actually had Natalia wrote in, and this is not necessarily a DVC question, but that's okay. I think that's an interesting question. So she writes, hi there, my name's Natalia. I love the show. I start my day with a cup of coffee and listening to you. My husband and I are planning to visit Disney World by the end of the year, second week of December. That's a pretty good time to go, I think. Weather's nice, it's...
you get the Christmas stuff, if nothing else.
You get all the Christmas stuff. It's probably going to be a little busy, but that's besides the fact.
When is it not busy?
That's true. And we're planning to take our baby, who will turn 1 by then, with us. I was wondering if you could give some advice, like what kind of rides are best for people with babies, and anything you can tell us about going to Disney with a baby. We already booked in Saratoga because nothing else was available, but we would like to hear about what resorts you think are best for small children and why. Have you ever used Rider Switch? How does that work? Do the three of us have to wait in the entire line, or the parent with the baby can go somewhere else while the other waits in line? Also, can we double our Fast Passes with a Rider Switch? For example, can I use a Fast Pass for a Tier 1 attraction, get a Rider Switch for my husband, and then do another Tier 1 attraction with my husband's Fast Pass? I think I said all that right. Thank you, and keep up the good work. Regards, Natalia, and she also threw in a little heart there. So thank you for the little heart. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's very sweet.
Yeah, it's very sweet. So I have never traveled there with a small child, so I might defer to you two on this because I'm going to be doing that next year. But I've never experienced this.
So, do you want to go first, Damon, or do you want me to go?
Sure, you can go first.
Okay. So, first of all, my experience with small kids is that I didn't go with my son until he was 4. And that was only because
so Trevor's done now? Oh, he's done. All right. Are you done now?
Still a small child.
However... we did kind of experience some of these things around rides and what rides to do with little kids versus bigger kids. The obvious thing is dark rides are a good place to start. So if you have a very small child, you're probably going to be spending a lot of your time in Fantasyland because you got Winnie the Pooh, Peter Pan, Small World.
Oh, see. Okay.
And I know what you're saying, Damon. I know what you're saying, but there is also other dark rides as well beyond those. So, like, there is the Nemo ride in what's it called? Epcot, that place, Living Seas. So there are a few dark rides. Also, it's. I mean, the thing is with little kids is that you don't necessarily have to be taking them on a ton of rides because they're honestly it's a lot for them anyway, and it's kind of a lot of overload, I guess, or at least in my experience. Like even taking a 4-year-old, it was a lot for him at first. So I know that's not a ton of great information on that because, like I said, my kid was a bit older when I took him.
That's why I got it covered.
Okay.
After Trevor's done, I got it covered.
Okay. The only other thing I was going to say is that if you want actually a bit of an example of taking a very young kid, there's a vlogger I watch on YouTube, or it's their family. They're called See Ya Real Soon. The real is spelled REEL. And so they were a couple that used to go to Disney, and they just recently had a kid, and they just started going back to Disney with their son who's like 1 year old. So I would recommend watching that if you want a bit of some visual cues on kind of some of the stuff that they did and the challenges and everything. So, but I'll hand it over to Damon now for this part.
All right, so I have a little bit more experience. So when we first went, my boys were 5 and 3, But then my daughter came along, and she's been going every single year. So pre-1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, she's been every single year. So this is what I would feel like. Let's start with Saratoga. Don't be upset because nothing else is available. Actually, Saratoga is a pretty nice resort when the kids are young, because even though it's more spread out, it's also more... I don't know, relaxing is probably a bad word to use with a 1-year-old, but it kind of is. It makes your life a little bit easier because it's a little bit more spread out, and you kind of can find your own space, if that makes sense. You know, with a 1-year-old,
it's quiet. You mean?
Yeah. And the spacing of it, like
bigger rooms too, bigger rooms.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, the way that it's spread out, you can find your own spot, right? And the other nice thing is there's also a lot more pools. Right, because you have the pools per little section as well as the bigger pools, right? Which is nice, because I know that there was one morning that we were leaving at, I want to say we were leaving at 10, but I was packing in the morning with, we had the 3 kids at that point, and my wife just took them to the small pool, just the regular rectangle in the ground ones at Saratoga, not the fancy ones. And it was great because there was nobody there in the morning, and, we able to have some time while I was packing. So be happy with Saratoga. Actually, I think it's probably one of the better resorts for younger kids because of, like I said, the pool and the spread out situation. So I think you're good there. So this is what I'll say. The dark rides, as Trevor would call them, the ones he named, so Peter Pan, Winnie the Pooh. There is a little bit of Winnie the Pooh is actually a perfect example, right? So there's thunder and lightning in Winnie the Pooh, and with a 1-year-old, you kind of get into this aspect of, well, they may be just scared of the thunder and lightning and the noise of that over the top of what the actual characters are. I don't think my daughter was actually scared of Ursula until she got a little bit older, right? I don't think it was a big deal. But because of the thunder and lightning and Winnie the Pooh and the Huffalumps, like I might say that's not a good ride to go on, right? So
I'm scared of the Heffalumps, so
my daughter's still scared of them.
Fair point.
I still have nightmares for the Heffalumps.
So what I would say is things like A Small World is an absolutely wonderful ride. The Aladdin Carpets, Dumbo, I think those rides are rides that would be great with a 1-year-old. I mean, that's what I would say. But as Trevor mentioned, I think what you're looking for here is a lot of the pictures. I would say definitely do the photo pass, book it early if you can, because I think it saves you $50, I think.
It does. It saves you a good amount of money if you do it before you arrive. Yep.
Do that early. We're going to talk about that too, and when I talk about my trip, but do that early. That's really what you're looking for, right? I mean, they always say, is that while your child may not remember it, you're going to remember the smiles on your child's faces. And that's where this photo pass comes in. So I would make sure I was saving money for that. Again, ride-wise, I'd get to as many characters as you can. I'd hit those 3 rides, I would say. A lot of the stuff, Spaceship Earth, like things like that I think would be fun. Figment, right? I think Figment's, pretty fun. I think those are the sort of rides. But, make the experience about what you want to do ride-wise and about getting the pictures with your child. I think that would be good. So rider switch. So I've done it, but I think I've done it many of times, but I think it's changed a little bit, hasn't it? So I'm going to defer a little bit to these guys, but I've done it where you get on the ride, you go to a special area, so you wait online together, and then the second parent sits in an area that's kind of on the way out of the ride, and then what you do as you finish the ride as the one parent, the other parent gets back in line and goes right on the ride, and then you wait in that area. Like kind of a waiting area is how I remember it.
Well, so the way it's changed, it used to be like a paper pass that they would give you to go back, right?
Yeah.
And just recently, like a couple of weeks ago, actually, they changed it to digital now. It's on your Magic Band.
Oh, so what I was talking about is even before the paper passes, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to when like my daughter was 1. So yes, so Tom is right. After that little aspect of it, they went to the paper passes, but now it's digital. So you all wait in line though together, or no? I think that's the question that I don't know the answer to.
Go ahead,
I was going to say, I think from what I was reading, your party does have to be present to do the rider swap. So
that's what I believe as well.
Yeah, you can't have, one person be off.
It's kind of like you wait in line together, whether that be, the Fast Pass line, right? And then as you go on, isn't there like a little section off to the side, though? And then you just get back on with the other... Well, because by rider swap, right? Like the question is that you can kind of let me think about this 2 different ways, right? So the first way would be is that you want to go on, like we've done it where we've gone on with our kid, like separately, kind of, you know what I mean? Like that's part of one rider swap, but then to go on without your kid is kind of the second aspect of it, right? Like it kind of works both ways.
So my understanding is with the digital thing is that you just get back in the fast pass line. So there's no waiting area or anything. So one person will exit the ride and then they'll get a fast pass. And then when the first person gets off the ride, they, hand off the kid and then the other person gets back in line with the fast pass.
But you can get on with your child both times, if I remember correctly, or am I not remembering that correctly?
I think also that's changed too, because I remember some people saying that the stipulation now, at least with fast passes, is that, and I guess this is the second part of the question, is that with fast passes specifically, I think everyone in your party has to have a fast pass, so you can't use rider swap to book two different fast passes. Or basically double your fast passes, right? Because then you could have, everyone booking different ones.
You used to be able to do it where your kid could ride twice, though.
Yeah.
Which I guess I don't know if that's the case anymore.
That part I don't know, but I would think if they're young enough that, because under 3 they really don't even need, like they don't need admission or anything.
I guess the point would be at that point, why are you just not riding together?
Yeah.
Well,
that's true.
Part of the purpose of this is if the kid doesn't meet the height requirement for the ride, right? Yeah. So I'm not sure if they would let you do it where you could both ride with the kid. I don't think that.
We have done that in the past. Again, the problem is my daughter's 8 now, so you're making me think back at least 5 years, right? But we used to do that. And again, the other thing that I'm having trouble with is I think I'm mixing up a lot of amusement parks in my head together. Right, like to what policy adheres to which, I'm not talking about Disney, but Disney, Universal, Dollywood, Great Adventure, like everything in one swoop. I know it works differently at different places.
And go ahead, sorry, Charlie.
I was just gonna say I'm pretty sure that even since you did all of this, Damon, the policies have changed a lot over the last couple of years, right? So I think now they're a lot harder on it. You can't use the fast passes to kind of double down with the rider switch, and I think they actually utilize the fast pass system to kind of work with the rider swap now instead of doing the paper passes. So
and so basically when they went digital with it, basically now they're giving you it's only valid for a certain length of time on the day that it's issued. So before, it was valid for like a whole month, and so people would sell them on eBay. So again, this is like why we can't have nice things, right? Because people take advantage of the system. But go ahead. Sorry,
I was gonna say, actually, I'll admit, on my last trip, someone handed us a rider swap pass for Splash Mountain on our second day, and
I think that's okay.
Yeah, but it was good for the entire week. So we came back on like the Thursday or the Friday and used it, which was great. But
because that used to happen all the time with the paper fast pass system too, where you would just be walking around and someone would be like, "You want these 2 fast passes, Rock and Roller Coaster?" And you'd be like, "Okay," like that would happen all the time. Back when that was the system.
It was nice, a little magic.
Yeah, for sure.
But so and guests are not able to hold more than one rider switch pass at a time. So that was the thing before. You could have a bunch of the paper passes because they were good for that month. Now you can only have the one because it's digital. So kind of how it works. I hope that makes sense. Rider switch is confusing, so I would definitely recommend talking to a cast member when you're there. But I think we got the basics of it, and it is important to note too. It's not available for every ride either, right? So it's. And so I actually pulled up the list here. So for Magic Kingdom, it's Barnstormer, Big Thunder Mountain, Seven Dwarfs, Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, Stitch's Great Escape for some reason. I guess because it's scary. I don't know.
Well, no, it has the shoulder bars. That's why.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
And then Tomorrowland, Indy Speedway. So there's a ton of stuff in Magic Kingdom.
Stitch isn't even open anymore.
It's not. I don't even know why it's still on this list.
They just haven't updated it.
You know what is great for a little kid, too, is make sure you do Belle's Enchanted Tales, because that's a great one for a kid. It's like a show, and it's a good amount of time, and that one's a lot of fun. But at Epcot, Frozen Ever After, Mission Space, Soarin', Test Track, of course, all the big ones, Hollywood Studios, Alien Swirling Saucers, Rock and Roller Coaster, Slinky Dog, Star Tours, Tower of Terror, and then Animal Kingdom, Avatar, Dinosaur, Everest, Cali River Rapids, and Primeval Whirl. So those are all the ones that offer Rider Switch. So I just wanted to list those off in case you didn't know all those.
Which basically those are all the rides with actual height requirements. So if the ride doesn't have a height requirement, then no rider swap.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
Exactly. That makes total sense to me too. So yeah, no, I kind of what Damon would say, like he was saying, you know, I think there's a lot of things that the kids can do, you know, a lot of the character greetings, you know, I don't know if I would take my 1-year-old on Haunted Mansion, might disturb them forever, I guess. But you know, there's a lot of other stuff that they can do too. Like I said, the Belle's Enchanted Tales, you know, like when you're at Animal Kingdom, you can take us to the Lion King show.
It's
to Finding
funny
Nemo.
because I look at something like Haunted Mansion as not a problem, right? As for a 1-year-old, it's just.
I mean, maybe they would ignore it. I don't know.
Yeah, it really depends.
A 1-year-old
on the
is
kid,
not.
right?
Yeah, it does not. It is not like, you know,
all that aware.
They're not processing it.
They're not processing. So
that's
I think
fair.
it's the noises that I think can become a bigger issue. Shoot, I would say that my kids at 1 probably would have slept through Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, I mean that's probably true.
And actually, also kind of to that point is, you know, even mentioning the PhotoPass photos is, there's PhotoPass photographers everywhere, and definitely make use of them. When it comes to the characters, you know your kid best. So, you know, some kids react differently to the mascot characters and stuff. And if it doesn't look like it's happening, don't feel like you have to force it either.
And I think that, you know, the other thing that you kind of want to think about is, you know, there's a lot of characters that are out and about, right? And sometimes it's luck of the draw, sometimes it's managing your day and looking at the times, and sometimes it's about fast passes, right? There are a lot of character meet and greets with fast passes. I think I'd be, you know, heading that route. I think we ended up doing it, fast passes with the princesses and stuff like that, probably until this past year. I mean, this was the first year we really didn't do it with my daughter. So, you know, kind of keep in mind that, you know, you have fast passes for that as well, that you kind of want to make sure you're up on top of. Yeah,
I totally agree with that. So, and, you know, to Damon's point out, you were talking about Saratoga. I think Saratoga is a good option for that. I think, you know, and Damon, you could talk about this. You just stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I think if your kid likes animals, Animal Kingdom Lodge is an amazing place to stay, right?
See, not for a 1-year-old though. See,
yeah, because the 1-year-old's not there. You're right. Yeah,
they're not there. It's a little bit louder. It's, you know, again, I always look at it like this. While I may not always be the nicest person, one thing that I'm always aware of is noise, right? Yeah. And what I try to do is I say, kind of put myself in the, you know, where can I go in Animal Kingdom if my kid is just having a little bit of a meltdown? It's way harder, right, than Saratoga, to kind of separate yourself and kind of keep things calm. And the same, you know, for the other aspect is that, you know, if I want to try to keep my child calm and things to be quiet, I stand a better chance of that, I feel like, in Saratoga over Animal Kingdom. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
Animal Kingdom is loud.
Yeah,
it's always loud.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Well, and also, thinking about noise too, is a lot of the places that are closer to like Magic Kingdom and whatnot, you're hearing the fireworks, you're hearing boats and all that kind of stuff, which, I mean, I don't really think about those things because, again, my kid is now older, but I know, like, when my son was very young, you know, you want them to sleep as well when you're on vacation. And if, you know, there's noises going off that's waking them up on a regular basis at night because you're closer to, you know, Epcot or Magic Kingdom or one of those, you probably want to stay away from those for the first couple of years at least. So I actually, to your point, Damon, I do agree that Saratoga is probably a good choice for having young kids.
Yeah, wait till they get older for the fun resorts. Not that Saratoga's not fun. All the Saratoga people are going to email me.
Exciting.
More highly themed.
Yes.
Let's say, okay, can we go with that? Wow. I think that's fair. No?
I don't even know if that's fair. I don't know.
I insulted your home resort and you're hurting
it's
now?
not exciting, it's calm, right? It's a calm resort.
But it doesn't mean it's less themed. It's just themed to a different non-fantasy theme, I would say.
Fair enough.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So it's just less exciting.
We just lost about like 50 to 60 listeners, I think. Man.
No. I will definitely stay at Saratoga.
Well, he hasn't even stayed there to boot?
No.
He's knocking it and he still hasn't even stayed there. Wow.
I mean, at some point I will. But anyway.
Right, well, we might as well roll into Tom's done now, so we might as well just roll into it.
I apologize to all the Saratoga people out there. I'm sure it's a beautiful property.
It is. It's very nice. I remember just waking up and watching the golf course. We had, I think last time we were there, we ended up having a room on the golf course, and it was actually very nice.
Nice. Well, do you want to talk about your trip? I feel like we've thoroughly answered Natalia's question. Thanks again for listening and for writing in. So please write in if you have a question for us, and we'll try our best to answer it accurately. But yeah, we're excited to hear about your trip. You said this was a very different trip for you.
It was a very different trip. I learned a lot when I was there from a lot of DVC people. The problem is that I feel like I wish I had talked about this 2 weeks ago, right? Like, I mean, that's kind of what I feel like. I kind of forgotten some of the stuff, but a couple things that we tried to do. So we stayed at Animal Kingdom. The first thing I want to say is that Undercover Tourist was so well worth it. So let me just start with tickets. So as we were trying to make this trip as cheap as possible, sometimes I'm more concerned about money on these Disney trips than others, and this was one of those times. We're building a new house, so money's a little bit tighter than it normally is, and what we're trying to do is save some money. So I know that we originally had started, we said, we're going to do 3 days of passes and that's it, and then we went to 4, and then we started looking and said, we can do Undercover Tourist and save enough money to do the water park passes as well, so the Park Hopper Plus option, and that's what we ended up doing. I want to say we ended up saving on a 6-day $200, which is well worth it. Yeah, it definitely was well worth it. I'd say it was at least two dinners worth of money for the 5 of us. And the only thing with Undercover Tourist is sometimes they don't have the exact tickets that you want in stock sometimes. And I believe the first time I looked, which was a little while back, that's maybe what I thought. I don't even know if that was 100% the case, or maybe that's just what I thought. But lo and behold, we order our tickets. Now, what's funny about it is of course with us, I had to do something wrong. So I ended up putting in the wrong phone number for the credit card because my wife's number and my number are just off, like two numbers flip-flopped. And, they called right away, very nice. And like, hey, sir, blah, 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 blah. So they called my wife's number because obviously that's the one I left, even though I put in my credit card. And it got worked out immediately. Like, no questions, no problems, right? They asked us a few questions, verified our information, and then off we went. So even with a problem on my end, their customer service is very Disney-like, very Disney-esque. Super duper nice, super duper easy. And not only did I do my stuff through Undercover Tourist, but the reason I did is because my friend had previously done it, the ones that we travel with, and it worked out great. It worked out great. So, big kudos to them. So that would be the first thing I would say. So because of this, we got to get our water park tickets, which was absolutely wonderful. I really just don't know where to start. So let me just kind of be all over the place a little bit. I'll start with the DVC things.
I was going to say, start from the beginning.
I'll start with the DVC things. Yeah. I don't even like to go with days. I feel like that was like a mishmash because we slept in every day, which is crazy. We never sleep in. We slept in pretty much every day.
You're Mr. Rope Drop.
Yeah, usually Mr. Rope Drop. But you know what? The thing is that we didn't have anything we really needed to do. Right? Yeah. There was nothing really we needed to do. We had already been to Pandora, so we didn't rope drop. At least as a family, we didn't rope drop. So a caveat to that is my son's a swimmer, and when we travel, he's a big time swimmer. So when we travel for a week, he can't just stop swimming. We have, actually a week from now we have state. So we ended up having him swim with one of the local teams down there, which is super duper accommodating, which is great. They're on International Drive, the YMCA. Phenomenal people there. They're always very welcoming to my son. So what we ended up doing is that one of those days I ended up getting up and going to Epcot, and I didn't even rope drop. I think I got there like 15 minutes after rope drop, right?
I think you said like 9 o'clock when you told us about this. Like
that must have been even, so it was even later than that, right? Walked really pretty much right on Frozen. Then got off, walked right on Soarin'. I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal. And then went to Hollywood Studios and, walked on Toy Story Mania because I'm just going to be all over the place here because Toy Story Land was not open yet, right? So what they were doing is they were changing the location of the queue. Toy Story Mania was not even supposed to be open that day. But I guess when we got there, like, let's just, they must have said, well, let's just open it, but we're going to open it in like a weird spot. So, like, you weren't even going through the real line. So it looked like there was this huge line for Toy Story Mania, not realizing that the door to the outside was where they were letting people like in and be on the ride.
Like board on the vehicles? Like,
yeah.
So you like walked in the door and boarded right on?
Walked in the door and boarded right on. So what was interesting about that is because then it got crazy, right? After people started figuring out what's going on, they ended up moving the line altogether, and then it just turned into regular, Toy Story, Mania at, 120 minutes. But literally walked onto that. So that was absolutely phenomenal as well. So, yeah, I mean, the other thing is, so I'll talk about the parks, is we went to Blizzard Beach at the beginning of I want to say that was Monday morning. Got there when it opened around, it opens, I think, at 10. We got there maybe 10:15. Ghost town. Absolute ghost town. So here's a little bit of advice, because I would say this has happened more often than not to me. If you go to the water parks Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, they will be a ghost town. And it is the best. Because what happens is people that are going on to a Disney trip look at the water parks as a secondary item. But what happens is after you go to the parks, or you just can't brave the amount of lines at the parks, you start to think that maybe the water parks are a better option, and you go there. Well, that doesn't happen till Wednesday. So again, we literally, I was done with Blizzard Beach maybe in 2 hours, every single ride, and some of the rides more than once. I mean, it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. And we ended up going back to Blizzard Beach later in the week, and it was not as good. It was a little bit more packed. I mean, not bad, right? I think we went on Friday. It was so hot, though. It was like 105 that, like, we went to the water park for like 2 hours, and everyone was like, nope, we're done. It's like it's not even cool in the water. Like, we're out of here. But what's kind of cool about this is think about this for the water park. So my friends that went and they got their tickets, they got the park hopper for 6 days. 7 days. They actually got it for 7 days. And they usually don't go to the water parks because the mother of the family is just like, oh, I don't like, yucky water parks. She had some bad water park skeevy experiences, I guess. Like, listen, this is Disney. Like, I'm telling you, why don't you guys just give it a shot? So they're like, yeah. I said, go back and ask at the desk. Find out what the difference is. So for the whole week of Park Hopper Plus to add on was $75 for 3 people for 7 days.
Like $75 total for the
total, not even per person.
Not even
total.
Per person total.
That's
so nothing.
Less than the cost to get 3 people into.
It's less than the cost to get like one person in.
Yeah.
So it was like that worked out great. So they ended up coming with us to Typhoon Lagoon one day and to Blizzard Beach one day, and it worked out great. Like, and again, because you're not paying a lot, they went for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then left, and like everyone was okay with that. So that was, like I said, that was kind of the parks. I'm trying to think about what we did in the parks that was anything different. Park-wise, I would say, nothing really different. I would say, though, I was a little more keen on Flight of the Passage this time.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I went through the queue this time as well. It was 130 minutes, and I told you we got through in 80, which I thought was pretty acceptable. And the queue was actually okay. Like, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff in that queue that obviously I had never seen, right, going on FastPass.
You completely miss all of that on the FastPass line, which is unfortunate because it's so detailed.
It's just a concrete hallway, right? Like,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It was so neat that, again, the 80 minutes was not bad. It was always moving, which, people say they like moving lines. For me, the problem is I like to kind of like lean, relax, sometimes even sit on the ground when you're talking about 80 minutes. That's the only problem with the moving line. But the queue was, well done in terms of, theming to the point where it's worth everyone should see that part of it at least once. I think, maybe if you can rope drop it, but it's almost like you can't even rope drop it because you're through it so quick anyway. You got to find that like 60 to 80 minute time frame and just do the queue. It's worth it. So that was fun. At night we did Top of the World, which that cake was ridiculous.
Oh, you did the chocolate cake that they have there? Yeah.
The 13-layer cake.
Yeah, the 13-layer cake. Yeah.
Ridiculous. I think I might go on record to say it's the best cake I've ever eaten.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. Have you guys ever had it?
No, I haven't. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah, that's on the to-do.
It is, again, like, we're like a baking family. Like, so please, I'm not saying this lightly. It is the best cake I think I've ever eaten in my life.
Wow.
It's that good. So...
Wow.
That
What'd you think
cool.
of the lounge? I thought it was okay. It was
again, this is what I liked about it. The lady, when we got there earlier than most, right? Because we're like, we didn't really know where it was. You know, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't really know the whole deal. So we get there with our friends. They're also DVC members. And, we check in, and the lady's like, hey, if I were you, I'd just keep this table until the fireworks. If you get up, you're going to end up losing it. And that was fine. She goes, don't worry. I got you covered. Just let me know if you're going somewhere, and I'll make sure, that your table's good. We can put something over the top of it, I think she was saying, to hold it for you. And I was like, we're probably just going to sit here. So that part of it was really nice. The fireworks are obviously better seen outside on the concrete, area, I thought. But even inside was fine. I've seen all the fireworks shows, so it was just nice to kind of just, be relaxed and see them.
I teased on the show last week that you had done something on your vacation that you were frequently called dumb.
Yeah,
and that was watching the fireworks.
Yeah, that was interesting. And again, they have water up there, so we're not big drinkers, so that was fine. And then my boys just kind of sat, and they have a little VIP loungy area up there too. And the boys just kind of sat up there and just kind of hung out until fireworks. And everyone was super nice about it, so it was cool. I mean, it was cool. The cake though was just we would have gone back for the cake. It was so good.
Wow,
it was that good. So let's see. In terms of other experiences that we have, I have a great story, but I want to save that for last. So let me just talk about, I guess, the one thing about DVC that we had a hard time with this time, and I don't know if it was because it was Animal Kingdom. Man, the toilet paper is horrible there. And you would think that's not normally something that you would comment on, but it was so bad that it was a problem. It was bad.
I've heard this comment at various Disney hotels over the years. There's just something about it's very hit and miss. I don't understand it either.
I don't know either, but
I think they use the same toilet paper everywhere.
It was bad. It was bad. It was bad.
You were Savannah View, right? Or
No. So we did not have a Savannah View. Our friends had a Savannah View.
Okay.
Excuse me, a Savannah View. And they had one of the cheapy rooms, which are not cheap, the awesome rooms, because they are Animal Kingdom people.
Okay,
That's their home resort. So they always book that room 11 months out every single time.
Got it. Okay.
And then they just go there. And so normally, again, I'm not a big Animal Kingdom person because I don't love the food. But because they're on a tight budget, in terms of time and things like that, they always just book that and then figure out what they're going to do, and usually end up staying there because it just becomes more cost effective, because I believe they only have 100 points and they still like to go 7-8 days. So
and for some reason I've always thought this was interesting that Animal Kingdom Lodge it seems to be less points in general than most of the other resorts, and has more availability. Maybe just because Animal Kingdom's a little out there, but
it is now. So the bus ride wise, we did a lot more at Animal Kingdom this time. Again, we were not rushing to rides. We did not do every ride by any stretch of the imagination, and we spent a fair amount of time at Animal Kingdom, and a fair amount of time at Disney Springs. So it was fine in terms of where it was. Yeah, some of those rides are a little brutal. The Typhoon Lagoon one is really brutal because you're talking about switching buses, right? When you switch Blizzard Beach bus, it's still close because it's over on the side of Animal Kingdom, right? It's not so bad.
How is the new ride? Is it at Typhoon or is it Blizzard Beach? The
Typhoon Lagoon, Miss whatever Falls.
Misadventure, is that Misadventure
something
Falls?
Like that. Something like that. It was good. I mean, it's tame-ish, right? So it was fine. I mean, I enjoy all water rides. So did I enjoy it? Of course. This was also the first time that my daughter got to do some of the larger rides, right? So we always pick a ride that she has to go on because we're that family. Listen, we all love rides, and so we kind of force her to pick a ride you're going to go on. And this time it was Rock and Roller Coaster. She was literally crying the whole way through the queue, and then ended up loving it when, we ended up getting off.
Awesome.
Yeah, that worked out
well.
Yeah, she really did like it. She would not do Tower of Terror, which is fine. She's not super enthralled with Haunted Mansion. And again, we did not do Pooh because she just doesn't like, the Hufflepuff. So that was fine. So I found out I talked to a lot of DVC cast members, that run the booths and things like that while I was there. So again, super easy to get our fast passes from the cruise. All you have to do is go up to any of the DVC booths and they just load them on, right? Super duper easy. The only thing is that they do have an expiration, and it's it's not a week, because we were there a week and we had to use them up before the last day. So that's just something you kind of have to take note of. And that was great because we used those for rides that I think we used one for Soarin', one for Test Track. Like Test Track was down every time we wanted to go on it because of, lightning. Just, it would be like, oh, all right, let's go on Test. Oh no, can't go on Test Track, right? So finally we got on it with our Fast Passes, the 3 free Fast Passes that we had. So that worked out well. But again, I talked to a lot of them. So some interesting things that I found out. I asked about the DVC hats because you know that they're a big deal for me. And the guy said, look, the easiest way to get the hats is just to cruise because they're free on the cruise ship. So everyone that's looking for those DVC hats, book a cruise. I mean, the cost works out. Hat, cruise, right? It's about the same.
Yeah,
totally makes sense.
Yeah, totally spend thousands of dollars for a hat that costs less than 50 cents to make. Yeah,
exactly.
Makes total sense.
So actually, this is interesting. And again, some of these things I'm going to probably fumble over because they're notes in my phone, and this has been 2 weeks now. But so we were kind of chatting with the DVC guy about, the dues at Animal Kingdom being a little bit less than you would think based on all the animals. And he said that's because there's a deal in place that Animal Kingdom, the park, actually takes care of the animals and it hits their budget.
So it doesn't hit our budget as owners if you own there.
Correct. So there was some finagling that went on to make that happen, to keep the dues at a respectable rate because they would have been crazy based on the animals' upkeep.
Yeah, totally.
So I thought that was definitely interesting. Let's see. So this is the big one, and again, I'm probably going to just murder this as I go through it. So we'll have to make some corrections. So here's the interesting part. So we were kind of talking about where Riviera was going, right? And one of the things was, it was actually supposed to, because where is it going now? It's going over by Caribbean Beach, right? Originally, I guess it was supposed to go over where that upgrade to Coronado Springs was. So here's the big thing. And again, I'm going to try my best. So Bonnet Creek, I guess, which is owned by Wyndham, right? Mm-hmm. Said that they had a view of the Disney fireworks. And so Disney was like, yeah, you can't use that in your advertising. And they're like, yeah, of course we can. So it went to court. And the judge told, hey, listen, they have a view of the fireworks. They can put that in their marketing. But, the only way to actually do anything about it would just to be block your view. All right. So, so what happens is, I guess the head guy that was in charge of the construction project that, was trying to, he thought it was all going over at Coronado Springs. And, he kept getting, emails or letters or, internal memos like, hey, we should probably move this over here. Long and short of it is that they pretty much forced him to move it over there to put it in front of their view of the fireworks. So that is why the Riviera ended up going there. Now, what's even interesting about this is that Wyndham can't build any higher because Disney actually owns the airspace above their resorts.
How is that even possible? How do they own airspace?
I don't know. So again, this is the DVC CM telling me the story, and he said that's why it's actually over there and why it's not at Coronado Springs and why they're still doing the upgrade at Coronado Springs because they already had permits in place to do this work. So I thought that was a really fun story. Again, something that, was kind of interesting to hear about. The other thing I have in my notes is that I would say that this time the park was super packed, but the way that, I guess a lot had to do with kind of the way the weather was going. Fast Pass lines were not as good this time. We did a lot of waiting on Fast Pass lines, which is not fun. Like a 20-minute wait on a Fast Pass line, it never used to be like that. And again, I would say that, there's a lot going on at the parks and a lot of, weather that was shutting down some people's Fast Passes. Like I know that Test Track was a big one, right? So Test Track gets shut down. Those people can pretty much come back anytime they want. And that was kind of clogging up the...
Kind of throws a wrench in everything.
It does. So that was, like I said, something that this time I would say it felt like the Fast Pass lines were not worth it as much this go around. And it could be just a timing thing, but that's kind of how it felt. All right, so now I have a great story. So we go to Hollywood Studios. It must have been the second time, or was it even the first day? I'll talk about... I want to talk about where I ate first, because this is such a great story. So let's talk about where I ate first. So we went to Disney Springs. We ate at Morimoto outside, which I love to do. The food is always great there. And we had this Korean barbecue bowl that was so good. I ended up getting the last one, and then it was sold out, and they weren't making any more that day. And like I was mad, and so my kids were mad because they're like, "Yo, I want one of those too." Like it was really, really good. I would say that was wonderful. And then we ate it. Where did we eat? What did I tell you we ate? At,
Homecoming.
Yeah.
Art Smith's Homecoming. Yeah, it was good, right?
Yeah. I thought it was really good. It wasn't as expensive as I thought. The food was really good, and the atmosphere was really nice. We did a lot of our eating at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, just so everyone's aware. So we don't usually butt into that like 8 o'clock eating time frame. We just don't do it because we're usually snacking later at night, and it just is easier for us to eat at that point because everyone's hungry. We also did all of our breakfasts at our room. I actually brought 2 gallons of milk this time in the car from North Carolina. It just was easier. I brought cereal, Pop-Tarts, bars, yogurts, because my kids all eat yogurts. And we really did nothing for breakfast and saved us a ton of money. Because even 2 gallons of milk down there is expensive unless you feel like going to Walmart.
Oh, for sure. Like so from like the little convenience store, you mean? Like in the hotel? Yeah.
Yep. We did that. We ate in France one night. We ate at the Italian place in Hollywood Studios. What's that place called?
Mama Melrose.
Yeah, it was okay. I had chicken saltimbocca. It was like I love that dish in general, and that was there. And it's very rare to find that dish. It's usually veal, and it's not usually on most Italian menus, so they had that there, so that was fine. I thought that was actually pretty good.
That place is pretty decent. Yeah, I've eaten there too. I like that place. It's not.
And
bad.
then we went to the Sci-Fi, which again I never thought I would.
Sci-Fi.
I thought I would never step in that place, and I don't know why. But I was with my daughter and my one son, and we were waiting for everyone else because my other son was at swimming and stuff. So we're like, man, we're hungry. Let's go see what the wait is. The guy's like, well, normally he's like, but I can get you in 10 minutes. And I'm like, all right, cool. Nice. Like I'll take 10-minute wait. So we ended up eating there, and that was fun.
Yeah, that place is really awesome, fun. Right?
It is a good restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, and the food was actually pretty good. Like, and not exquisite, but it was good for what it was, and I was okay with that. You know,
for
what I mean? Like,
for a themed restaurant, yeah, it's good.
And the atmosphere is so much fun there. It almost doesn't even matter if the food's good because it's just it's such a cool vibe.
Yeah, it was definitely fun there. So we ate in China in Epcot as we always do because we did not eat at the Yak and Yeti. So that was kind of our Chinese food. I think we ate there twice. I think I ate there twice because I like I said, we don't get great Chinese food in our area. So food-wise, I say that's what we did. Let's see. Did we eat any desserts? We ate dessert. Like, dessert is just a mishmash, though, for me. Like, I don't even remember, like, anything outstanding except my favorite dessert in the world, which is at Pandora, the blueberry moussey thing.
Those little... and plus the layer cake at the top of the world, too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, so that was all fun. So here's the thing: I need to talk to Trevor about the void. So Tom, I don't know if you feel like
I was waiting for this.
Yeah, like I don't know what you're going to feel like. I don't think we'll ruin anything for you.
No, it's okay. I'm not a big spoiler person, so I don't mind if I hear about it because I can feel like I can still experience it the same way. So.
The best thing I've ever done. Like, is that possible?
Wow,
it's that good, isn't it?
It was that good. Like, it could be the best thing I've ever done. Like, and my kids were like in awe. Like, just in awe. Like, I don't even know what else to say. It was so convincing. And again, the graphics aren't phenomenal, right? They're good.
It's Star Wars. Like, it's like, looking like any 3D Star Wars thing you would find. But yeah, you're right. It's just the whole thing is just so good, isn't it?
It was just so good. Like, I don't even know what else to say. It was just so good. Like, I tried to explain it to my wife, and you can't even explain it. It's so good. We had such a fun time. Like, I've never seen my kids that happy after, like, an experience. Because it was like we couldn't stop talking about it. Like, it was just so crazy. Just the tactile feel of the guns, the walls, the
blaster shots.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I tried to adhere to your policy of, like, being, like, stealthy. And I was kind of getting on my kids at dinner, like, a little bit. I'm like, yo, I literally pick up the gun and shoot it twice as I pick it up like an idiot. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like it had to be me, right? Like, of course it's me. And then like we couldn't like do the puzzles because we're just so enthralled by the world. The pattern matching puzzles were like, we couldn't.
What are we doing?
Yeah, like I'm enjoying this as an experience. It was incredible. It was just incredible. Like I don't even know what else to say. It was just that good.
So, thinking back to when I said I did it twice, that makes sense now?
Oh, yeah. Like, if I could have... here's the problem is, you book it, but they're not turning people away. That's kind of the problem, right?
Yeah.
So, we had an appointment and still ended up waiting like 20 minutes. Now, the only kind of cool-ish thing about that is that my one son had a little bit of a problem with his, so they had to, like, reset everything. So, me and my other son were still in the room with our gear on, kind of just hanging out for 10 minutes because he fell into the lava on the bottom. He's like, I look and all I see is lava. They're like, that doesn't seem right. All right, someone has to go reboot this. So during that time, like me and my other son,
you got to hang out on that outside. Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
For like 10 minutes, and it was great. Like we were having a blast. We're like, oh my goodness. Like, Tom, it's so crazy that like you can hold your hands up and you
can see them.
It notices your fingers. Forget about just noticing your hands. If you put one finger up, it puts one finger up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like,
Like I said, my son and I were doing like hand signals to each other, like thumbs up and pointing and everything, because you can do that. Like,
it was good. And they give you a picture at the end, which is also nice. So you have that picture. You got that as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we got a picture. Yeah.
So I mean, it's a fun experience, and I think for what 3 of us is like 104, 106, somewhere in 100, 100 and something. It wasn't bad at all. I didn't think. It was phenomenal. All right, so I have this story, and this is such a funny story. So my son's at swimming with my wife, and our friends are back at the hotel, and we roll over to Epcot, and we're like, oh man, well I thought this is going to take a little bit longer than it did, so let's meet them at Hollywood Studios and just kind of bounce over there. And okay, cool. So we bounce over there, and again, like Toy Story Land's not open. They're doing dress rehearsals, and I'm kind of like, I bet you I could kind of get in if I felt like it, but I don't really feel like it because it seems like it's a lot of effort to get in, right? Like, so I was like, what would be hysterical? So I'm talking to my son. What would be really funny? Because we said our friends are, they wanted to get into Toy Story Land really bad. And the problem was going to be, even at the media day, I could have gotten in, through the website, but I couldn't have brought 9 people with me, right? Like, that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So the first thing was I met a CM, and she had just been on it. So this is what I was telling you guys. So this was what I said to her. I said, so how did you feel about the Slinky ride? She goes, it was more, and she kind of paused for a second, looking for the right word, and she goes, well, more violent than I thought it would be. And she wasn't referring to the theming. She was referring to the coaster being a little bit more of a coaster than she kind of thought it was going to be. So you can kind of keep that in mind. I have not been there, and that's what I've kind of heard as well. It's
not
a little bit more
Barnstormer.
coaster. It's not the Barnstormer. So, all right. So anyway,
I've heard that. I've seen several reviews where people were like, wow, that was more intense than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so that's something good to know. And again, one of us will be there soon enough. So, all right, so they have the whole area closed down. There's 2 cast members out front. And like I said, Toy Story Mania is kind of off to the side. So I kind of go, what would be really funny? Let me send a message and tell them that we're in. Because they know that, I have the other websites and I have some Disney contacts. And, we had seen Star Wars early and all that. So they know that I have a little bit of pull. So it's not a lot of pull, very little, but sometimes I get favors. So I was like, it would be funny. So all right, cool. So I find a picture, because they're like, oh, you better send a picture. We don't believe you. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I send a picture from, I go into Google and I find one. What is it? Who else has Toy Story Land? Hong Kong? Who else is getting it?
Well, there's Pixar Pier in Disneyland.
But there's also there is a Toy Story Land in, I want to say Hong Kong. I think you're right.
Is that where it is? And did it open recently?
Yes, but they do have different rides there. Okay,
but they still have Slinky, I think, don't they?
No, only Hollywood Studios has Slinky.
Do they have a picture of Slinky? So I want to say that
they do. So they have like they have almost like, it's almost like a I want to call it like a Music Express. You know what I'm talking about? Like, or Himalaya, where it spins in a
it's
circle.
a Slinky Dog Spin.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Slinky Dog Spin.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I was like, all right, because again, like I was like, I'm going all through with this. So I said, if I take a picture like off the web of one of the ones that's here, they're going to know I'm not in, right? So I was like, let me just go to like page 10 of like Google for Hong Kong Toy Story Land, and then let me match up the skies because it was a little overcast. I find a great picture. So I take this picture and I send it to them. And they're like, okay. And they're like, no. We want the kids in front of something. We don't believe you, right? Because, again, they know me, right? So I was like, no. I was like, look, I had to take that picture from the hip. I go, they're not letting anyone take pictures. Okay. So, and we're laughing, right? Because we think it's funny at this point. And we go, so I said, Christopher, I go, I got it. And he's like, what? He goes, I go, just listen and watch. So I go, listen. I go, there's a secret code word. Go up to where the dress rehearsals are being held in front of Toy Story Land and go up to the lady and just say rhubarb. That's the word. So, and I just leave it at that. Now, here's the thing. We were on this kind of group message with my wife and our friends. So our friends are at the studios on their way. So, okay. So, I just kind of, and then I leave it at that, right? They ask me some other questions. I go, nope, I just am not answering anything else. I've done everything. Cool. Well, so all of a sudden, my wife must have, and this is, I'm surmising this, because I got the story after the fact. She comes in with my son, Nicholas. And my son is, he's a funny character in general, right? He has, he was out there when they were doing the dancing outside of the void, Trevor, like when they have that little dance thing outside there, like he has studied dance, like hip hop. So he just goes out there and dances and kind of makes a fool of himself, but he's a good dancer. So he's not really making a fool of himself, but he just has fun. He's that kid. All right. So he's with her. All right, cool. So, we go into the Sci-Fi Cafe and this is when we're eating. And all of a sudden I get a message from him, a text, and he's just laughing his off. Excuse me, we might have to bleep out. Laughing his butt off, right? So I guess what happened is my wife goes up to and she is, I didn't think it was going to be her. I thought it would be our friend. Full on goes up to the lady and goes, rhubarb. And the lady's like, what? And she's like, rhubarb. Like, and my son's like, she's kind of a little like adamant about, like, mom was like adamant.
Like,
she's like
winking.
And the lady's like, ma'am, I don't really know what you're talking about. She said, listen, my husband was in there. And now this is early in the day. And she's like, I don't think so. Like, and she's like, no, he told me to tell you rhubarb. And she's arguing about this. And finally, the lady's just like, ma'am, like, I really don't know what to tell you. But, like, I don't know why you keep saying this word to me. And my wife was like, oh, well, that's what my husband told me to say. So then she texts me, like, and she's, like, not upset, but she's kind of like, and we are just losing it. Now, our friends had other friends that were there as well, and they sent them a text message to say the same thing.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
all of a sudden, they're like, oh my goodness, we have to catch them because we can't let them go up and say that because like they weren't like as good as friends with them, and they're like, oh my goodness, this is going to be crazy. We laughed and laughed and laughed for just days about it, because it was just so funny. So that's what happens when you travel with me. Like those are the sort of things that happen.
Funny.
We had a blast though. And again, I was not upset to not be there during the opening. Let's put it that way. Again, there was a media day. I did not have as great of an interest as other people did. So I'll see it when we go next time. We're probably going to end up going next year anyway, and we'll be there before Star Wars opens. So we'll see Toy Story Land then.
So, for any CMs that are listening, can we make it a thing where the code word is rhubarb or something?
I just thought it was such a great word, and that's why like it was so believable. Yeah. It was just like so far out there, and they're like, "Wow, like we just wouldn't have thought that you would have." We had a great time with that. So
we know we have cast member listeners. They've written to us before, so
that was my story. In a nutshell, it was fun. Like I said, we did not get up early, which was great. We stayed up a little bit later. We all had a very good time. We ate a lot of good food and spent a lot less money than I thought. That was the other thing. I ended up coming home with a fair more chunk of change. We usually, like I said, we end up going with cash. That's just us. That's what we like to do. I ended up coming home with a lot more money than I thought. So it was definitely a different vacation, but we had a great time.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was a good trip.
It was.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all that. I think that was really interesting. We're like running out of time already, though.
Yeah. But no, that was awesome, though. Yeah,
no, it was great.
I guess we should move on to some other DVC and things that we need to talk about at this point, don't we?
I guess, yeah.
Some of these are easy because like they had them and now they don't, so there's not a lot to talk about.
Well, so go ahead.
I was going to say, so for the first one, I mean, there was the DVC site update where so they had added some enhancements to the site so that, you know, booking was all in one place and, you know, it looked a lot nicer and all that. Apparently there's been an issue with the being able to adjust your vacations, so they pulled that back now. So you can't modify anything anymore. You have to call guest services. So I guess we can't have nice things.
We can't. That's exactly right. And you guys know as IT people, like it's one of those things where I'm sure they thought that they came up with every scenario they possibly could for what could happen, and then when they actually implemented
we like to call anyway.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
Me too.
That's what Trevor was saying on last episode. I prefer to do everything I can not to talk to somebody. So, but
they're so nice though. It just makes your day better. Like even if even if you have to change something, it's just you get off the phone and you're like, wow, there are nice people in this world. Oh, nice.
I do enjoy the hold music because it's always the attractions music. It's always like the park music. I do enjoy the hold music for that. So,
and you know, honestly, I call too because, you know, when I'm at work and I'm having a bad day, it kind of like Damon says, you know, sometimes you just want to talk to somebody nice. So it's nice to call them and, you know.
And they tell you to have a magical day at the end, you know?
Yeah, I think it's going to be back, though. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be back.
Oh, yeah. It's probably just a little issue that they wanted to take out. I'd rather them have it work than not have it work, right?
Like you said, Tom, in the IT world, you know, we do all kinds of, you know, testing and all that stuff, but you can never account for how things actually behave when you roll them out to production or to a larger group. So
exactly, you can't account for everything. Yep. So that's an easy one. I'm going to call this next one Damon Saw the Future.
Yeah. I knew it.
Yep.
I knew it was going away. There's no way. Someone was like, you know what, this is just not a great idea.
So, for those that remember last year, we had quite an episode where we talked about Disney implementing a pet-friendly policy at several resorts. Well, that was a pilot program, and supposedly the pilot program is ending. So in October. So I mean, we don't know this for sure, but there's a couple of sites reporting that they've reached out to Disney customer service, and Disney saying that they have not gotten any updates about the program continuing, and that it will most likely end on October 15th. So Damon predicted this, didn't he?
It's just common sense.
And my understanding too, or I read it, I can't remember which Facebook group I read it on, but
no one was using it?
Yeah, nobody was making use of it. So
no one brings their pets on vacation. That's silly.
It was also like $75 a night, which is like triple what you could pay at a kennel. Like it's way more
kennel
expensive.
You take your dogs to. But
maybe $40 a night.
I have a family member watch my dogs, so.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I'm saying is that my vet watches our dog, and it's about $60. So
I think I pay $40. But regardless,
you have a little small dog, though.
That's true. I have a tiny little 10-pound dog. So that might be going away. So you know, it does. It's funny because after the initial outrage of that, like no one talked about it again. Like you didn't hear.
No one was using it. There was no point of being mad about it because there's no pets anywhere.
There's nothing to say. Yeah.
Like I was expecting to see pictures of people like, you know, taking pictures of pets behaving badly, and you saw nothing. It just
that would have been a great Facebook group, but yeah.
Disney pets behaving badly.
Yep.
All right, so I don't know. Do you guys want to go speed round on this? Are there too many things?
Yeah, let's
do
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I feel like I always start. So somebody else.
So hold on. To make it fair, let's list off all the headlines first.
Oh, I like that.
So that you're not stuck, you know, trying to talk about all of them in your quick minute. Okay.
I love it.
So, all right, I'll go ahead and do this. So, So we're talking about Toy Story Land opens with very long lines. A couple of things in there is Mr. Potato Head returned. Reviews are on Slinky Dog Dash. And Slinky Dog Dash, Woody's Lunchbox. And I guess on the first day, people waited up to 7 hours for the roller coaster. Part B, the Disney Magical Express is getting a new look. C, there's new concept art for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which reveals Mickey and Minnie animatronics. D, Lightning McQueen stage show is announced for Hollywood Studios. E, Star Wars hotel layout and Hollywood Studios connection are revealed. And F, Disney Parks Play app is now available. So those are our topics. And so, Tom, if you want to start, go ahead.
All right. How much time do I have? A minute?
We'll give you a minute.
All right. I cannot be more excited by the fact that Mr. Potato Head is back. I have missed that animatronic for so long, and I didn't know it was coming back, and then I saw the queue, and I was like so psyched about it. Slinky Dog, all the reviews I've seen, it seems like they're saying maybe around Big Thunder Mountain, Seven Dwarfs. Some people are even saying it might be faster than those two, which is really interesting. Really want one of those Pop-Tarts from Woody's Lunchbox. They look amazing, and I would wait 7 hours for nothing ever. Just want to throw that out there. Would never wait 7 hours for anything. Magical Express looks pretty cool. Was due for an update, so I'm glad they're doing that. Mickey's Runaway Railway. Every time I see something about it, I'm getting more excited about it. And the fact that there's going to be a Minnie and Mickey animatronic in a car that's going by you, really cool. Really excited for that. Every time I see something about that, I get more excited about it. Lightning McQueen stage show. I kind of don't care. It's not that I dislike cars or anything. I just don't know if I would go and see it, but maybe once I see some things about it. They're saying it's going to be a really unique show, and I'm sure there's going to be some big animatronics or puppets or something, so that should be interesting, and that's going to be at Hollywood Studios. The Star Wars hotel layout in Hollywood Studios, basically they're saying it's going to be a really small hotel, which is what we expected, and they're saying valet parking only maybe, which also makes total sense if you're going to do the total immersion. And it looks like there's also like an underground hallway that's going to lead you into the park. I'm still hoping that's going to be some sort of trackless thing that takes you from the hotel to the park, because I think that would be really cool, but who knows. The Disney Parks Play app, downloaded it, tried to play with it. Really disappointed that you can only play with most of the games if you're in the park, standing in line for the ride. It looks really cool, though. It's a cool concept. You always see people playing phone games when you're in the Disney lines. So I think it's a really cool, neat thing, and I wish I could play with the games outside of Disney parks. Did I run out of time? Did I actually do a good job this time?
You did about 2 minutes.
All right. Well, you know what? All right. All right. Who's next?
I'm next. Right. I'm ready. So
yeah, I'm just going to be like, I don't care.
No, I care about a lot of these things.
Oh,
right.
Good.
Mr. Potato Head. Awesome. Loved him. I mean, I think that ride is one of my favorites anyway, so that's cool. Slinky Dog Dash, doesn't really matter to me. I'll ride it, but it's not as intense as I would like it, but better that it's more intense than I thought. Woody's Lunchbox, I don't think the Pop-Tarts are it for me. It's the s'mores French toast. I think looks awesome. I'm definitely in on that. Ooh. I think that would be good.
Yeah.
7 hours. I don't think I'd wait 7 hours unless I was doing it for a business and it was like a grind. Because I know there was a few people that did wait on it for 7 hours and it was part of what they do for a living. Cool with that.
Fair.
Ooh, Magical Express. Definitely don't care. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I would agree. I'm kind of excited about this. I think it's going to be a fun ride, and I think it's going to give us a little hint at what they're going to do for Star Wars with some of the hologramish 3D. I think we might see something like that there. Lightning McQueen stage show. It was interesting. They did have some of the cars outside of Toy Story Mania for photo opportunities while I was there, so I think that's a setup for the Lightning McQueen stage show. I think it will be fun. I think it will be a great show. I'm actually looking forward to that, and I will see it even if my kids don't want to. Star Wars Hotel, there's nothing new there. It doesn't matter. All right, Disney Park Play app. I would say I feel the exact opposite. I think it's great. You cannot play it out there. It is a novelty for you in the park. If a kid can play it wherever they want, it is not a novelty. It does not take any sort of enjoyment, if they can play it everywhere. They can only play it in the park. It's a novelty. They will play it while they're there. It will eat up some of the line time. I think that's a great idea.
Nice.
So, about a minute 30. Yeah,
Damon's quick.
To be fair, this is actually a pretty long one this time too. So
because there was a lot of news, so and we can't.
Yeah.
But to your point on the play app, before you go really quickly,
part of the discussion is you're not allowed to discuss again. That's why you don't want to go first.
All right, Trevor, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Okay. Toy Story Land. Glad to see Mr. Potato Head again. I haven't seen him in a long time. Slinky Dog, I'm glad that it's more intense than what people are saying. I think the park needs something like that. I'm willing to try anything at Woody's Lunchbox because it all looks good, and I just want to go and check it out in general. I'm with you, Tom. I'm not waiting 7 hours for nothing. No way, no how. Disney's Magical Express. This is my way of getting to and from the airport, so I'm excited to see this and check it out when I go in January. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Can't wait to see these animatronics actually in working. But yeah, more stuff about this ride is great because we need to see more of the stuff. Lightning McQueen stage show. I'm making a kind of left field prediction again on this, that this is a harbinger of things changing on that side of Hollywood Studios. I think this is the start of possibly an overlay for Rock and Roller Coaster and other things turning more Pixar-ish in that area. Star Wars Hotel layout. Not too terribly concerned about it. Again, we need to see further on how it's actually going to be connected and what the interactivity is going to be of the hotel. I assume there's going to be a tunnel or something connecting it. Disney Parks Play app, I've downloaded it. I'm glad that we can't play with it yet. I've watched a couple of YouTube videos of people using it, and I'm excited to try it on my next trip. But I agree with you, Damon. This is not something that I should have access to all the time, because then it's not something that will entertain me when I'm standing in line.
Nice. How long did you go for? Did you time yourself, or
it was
did you
about the
just
same?
go?
I was about a minute 40 on that one. So
enough.
yeah, that was a long one.
I have to say, I like your idea of a change to a more like almost like a mini Pixar land that they're going to build over there, because then we've been talking for a while about changing Rock and Roller Coaster to like a Dora coaster from Monsters Inc. Or I don't know what they would do with Tower of Terror, but that's interesting. I like when you do these left field things.
It seems to me like if you look at that area, the only thing really left there of the MGM Studios era is Rock and Roller Coaster proper.
And Tower of Terror.
Tower and Terror as well, even though they did do a Disney movie with Steve Guttenberg about it. But
they did it. Wait, there was a Tower of Terror movie with Steve Guttenberg? I don't remember that.
Yes. It was okay.
It was Steve Guttenberg. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, go watch it. Yeah, see how you feel about it.
I don't know. It can't be as bad as the Haunted Mansion movie.
Okay.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right, we need to talk about Force Ghosts, though.
Yeah.
We're talking about Force Ghosts.
Oh yeah, okay. So we're getting to the rumors here. So we only got one rumor today, actually. Maybe two. I can throw another one in there too. So Disney has been patenting technology like crazy for what we assume is Star Wars Land. And Disney has patented technology to create interactive Force Ghosts. So anybody want to explain what a Force Ghost is to those who don't know what that is? Because I know
Someone strong in the Force that died and is able to...
When a Jedi dies, you get a Force Ghost.
Well, not all Jedi get Force Ghosts.
But basically, it's like it looks like a ghost. I mean, it's
a ghost.
It's like a hologram.
It's
ghost.
not like every Jedi gets one. It's like you have to be like strong in the close to the Force.
Well, wait,
and you can replicate themselves then.
Which Jedis didn't get a ghost?
I mean, think about all the Jedis that died.
Okay, well, main character Jedi, I guess. Yeah, sorry.
Hold on a second.
You need to be a plot device.
But here's the thing. You can't think of movie terms. Yeah. Think of it as something real. Then you can only say strong in the Force.
Well, okay,
but yes, in Trevor's term does make sense. Main plot character, but in theory,
you get a
strong
Force
in the Force.
So Luke will probably be a Force ghost, right? At some point. Spoiler alert!
I think.
Spoiler alert!
Sorry,
sure.
Sorry for those that haven't watched it yet, but
it's been out forever
months.
now. If you haven't watched it yet, it's your fault. It's on Netflix. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. What were you guys going to say about this technology? This is pretty cool.
I mean, I feel like, it's a hologram, right? Like, I mean, that's really what we're talking about. I mean,
but it's an interactive hologram.
Yeah, but interactive is a very loose term. Talks to you, hologram, okay, right? Not touching you. It's not. It's not making you feel all wiggly and weird when it, like it's when it like floats through you, like an episode of Gravity Falls. Like it's a hologram.
Well, what if you could like talk to it though? Like, what if there was? Remember,
that's a loose term. In interaction, sure.
Well, a couple episodes ago, we talked about that narrative system they were building. What if that's part of this too? What if you can go up to a Force Ghost and ask it questions and it can talk to you? I don't know. I just think that's pretty cool.
I guess the way I see it is, I want Yoda to remind me when, I have a fast pass coming up or something. Like,
he floats in from over the park and just comes down just to Trevor.
Yeah.
Trevor, You have a fast pass.
Fast
pass you have.
Yes.
Fast pass you have. I would love if they use this for something dumb, like when you're getting on the battle escape ride, they're like telling you how to seatbelt, like put your seatbelt on. There's just a force ghost there, like, please fasten your seatbelt. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what they may end up using it for. That's what I kind of feel like.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty great. Oh, that's so ridiculous.
All right. So I have an interesting thing that I want to make everyone aware of. So have you seen the new Three Caballeros cartoon, or do you know anything about it?
So that was going to go on the agenda today.
Okay.
But it's not. So
well, now it is.
Yeah, so Disney produced the Three Caballeros cartoon, but it's not available in the United States.
All right, so let's talk about this for a second. So originally it was what we were all thinking is that it's going to be part of the new video on demand system, right? So it's been put into the Philippines as part of the Disney Now app in the Philippines, which does have this. Now the UK still has the same. It's not called Disney Now. What is it called? The new
Movies
Disney.
Anywhere? Isn't it
it's
Movies
not called that. There's a name to it, and I'm sure we could look it up. But anyway, they have that in the UK as well, but it's only in the Philippines that actually has the show. Now, what was interesting is they've been teasing it on some of the Disney YouTube channels for a couple weeks now, but the first episode is now out there, so you can watch it in the US via YouTube, and it's good. It's good, right? Like the animation is good, the color is good. It is Donald being Donald. Right?
How did I miss this?
It's good. And here's the other interesting thing, right, is that ride is going to be 75th. Right? What are they saying about the ride is going to have an anniversary coming up, or is it the 75th anniversary of the Caballeros?
The original,
the original
cartoon,
comic, right?
Right. So
comic or cartoon. So the thing is that they may just revamp the Mexican pavilion and keep it in place, because why make a cartoon? Now, to delve in a little bit deeper is that, Disney has to compete with Netflix and Amazon, which I just heard, and I could be wrong on this. One of them has more money than Disney, right? Or do both of them? So they're buying up things like Lord of the Rings like crazy, right? So for Disney to compete in the video-on-demand market, it is not going to be that you're rehashing, old DuckTales and Gummy Bears and think that people are going to sign up for this service, right? So yes, they are going to have the Star Wars show, and there may be more than one Star Wars show, but what will happen is the same thing that happens in things like CBS Express, where Star Trek is a phenomenal new show, but I just get CBS Express for a month, watch all the episodes, and then I cancel it, right? They don't want that, because they're probably, again, we don't know this, probably going to be one of the higher costing video-on-demand services. So I think this is something that we're going to see a lot of going forward when that launches, and I'm just ecstatic about it, because it's good.
Yeah.
So this, listening to you talk about this sounds a lot like, kind of like the revamp of Disney Afternoon, right? Like you're talking about like all those shows, that we all loved, like you're saying, the Gummy Bears and stuff, but it's the next generation of them coming out on Disney's platform.
Yep. And it was Donald being Donald.
I'm
like
okay with
that's
this.
that's what I can say about it, right? It truly was Donald being
like
Donald.
Angry Donald, like,
and it's like, the other thing is, so Trevor, the whole thing is, right, so Donald gets this inheritance, right, and part of the inheritance is, what is it, the adventurer's shack or adventurer's cabin or whatever it is, and, he picks up this artifact, and, a goddess, right, she's a goddess of something, is released, and they're trying to kind of balance good and evil, right? So the storyline is actually pretty cool, right? And there's artifacts, and you got these three characters who, again, they don't. It's not, I don't know what the word I use. They're full-fledged what you would expect them to be, right?
Like Jose and like Jose is Jose.
Pancho, right?
Yeah.
Panchito? Panchito, yeah.
Yeah,
like
Panchito,
they feel like they're who you think they are. You know what I mean? Like there's not any watering down of their personalities. Let's put it that way, right? It's great. And now that the first one's out there and people can actually watch it in the U.S., it's great, man. It's great. And I again, wrapping this back up to Disney, I feel like this could keep that pavilion, maybe a revamp of it without taking them out.
So instead of it being overlaid with Coco like everybody thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think that we might see just a refresh.
Both, right? I mean, sorry, not in the ride, but I mean, like the pavilion can have both Coco and Three Caballeros together.
True. There is some Coco in there right now.
There is, yes.
Yep. So I think this is going to be interesting. And again, this is something that, is these things are going to affect the park. Don't think that, there's a lot of money to be made in video on demand. And, what did they pay for Lord of the Rings? Millions upon billions of dollars, right? Not billions, but millions of dollars, right? There's a lot of millions being thrown around on a lot of new shows and a lot of new services, right? As we look forward, this is going to be how video is consumed going forward, and Disney is behind, right? There's no doubt about it. They're behind Netflix and Amazon. I don't know if they're behind Hulu, but they're behind the other two.
Well, they own part of Hulu, so...
I still get letters, like physical letters for Disney Movie Club. So
yeah,
that still exists. That still exists.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's still a thing.
Yeah, well,
I think they're going to have to push this, and the only way to push it is to do new content, and that new content is going to show up in the parks. They are not going to limit it to just this video on demand service. Is my guess. So,
well, when the Fox purchase goes through, they will own a majority of Hulu, so that'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, until that happens, let me know when it happens.
Until it happens, the vote is scheduled for like less than 2 weeks from now. So
yep, until it happens, it hasn't happened.
That's true, but it's already been approved by the government, and we'll see.
Until Comcast decides they want to pay triple, right? Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, and to your prediction, Damon, we've already got Mickey's Runaway Railway coming, right? Which is from those horrible cartoons. Yeah, those are just the Disney cartoons. Shorts, right? So of course, yeah.
Which are horrible. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
I know. But yeah, to your point, though, why would they not
Ren and Stimpy.
capitalize?
Let's be honest, right? They're too Ren and Stimpy. I never liked Ren and Stimpy.
Oh,
right?
really? I loved Ren and Stimpy.
The new shorts are very Ren and Stimpy. I'm not in love with them.
I kind of, I was coming to being a teenager when Ren and Stimpy was on, but yeah, I liked it as a kid.
You'll like the new show, Trevor. You'll really like it. And the coloring, I wrote a quick piece about it on BSC Kids for anyone that really cares about my thoughts. But I think just the animation and coloring worked out well. It's a little different than the new DuckTales, right? It feels a little more classic to me. So
I'm going to go check it out as soon as we're done here.
All right.
Nice. Well, do you want to wrap this up, Damon?
I'll wrap it up.
I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to bring it up, but I thought we would run out of time today. So...
Yeah, I don't care. Hour 15, that's fine. WelcomeHomePodcast@gmail.com. Email us. Just let us know what's going on. Let us know if you have questions. Tell Tom he's wrong. Tell Tom you're mad at him about Saratoga. There's a lot of things you could say to Tom.
He doesn't like Space Mountain, so tell him
doesn't
that too.
like Space Mountain. Right?
Well,
that's never probably not going to go on Slinky, even though he says he is.
No, I'll go on Slinky. I'll go.
Anyway, email us over there. The website, it's there, right? Just to make sure that we hold that domain until we use it for something. So if you have any questions or have any comments, please let us know. On Facebook, it's Welcome Home Podcast. And the big thing about Facebook is please just like the page. It's helpful for us. At Twitter, it's Welcome Home Pod, which, I almost used Instagram, which is Welcome Home Pics, and then I just got caught up doing other things. Sorry, everybody. I had some very grandiose ideas, and then it was like a different vacation for me, and I was just very relaxed and sleeping in, and it just didn't happen. So at least you got my fun story. The other thing is we ask for reviews on iTunes or any other service that you're currently using to listen to the podcast. That's also helpful for us. But I think Tom wants to say that we had our best month ever, which we are very appreciative of.
Yes.
Every month in comparison to the prior month, we like to grow, right? That's something that's helpful for us. It makes us interested in doing the next one. So hopefully you tell your friends and everybody else.
Yeah, we appreciate when you share our show with other people because word of mouth is probably the most powerful thing for these shows. So, we appreciate it when you tell other people about it. And, there is nothing that makes us happier than when we see on a Disney group someone say, what Disney podcasts do you listen to? And people comment and say, welcome home. Like that warms our hearts right there. So we appreciate when you do that. So, but don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, any podcast app that's out there. Just search for Welcome Home. We are there. And of course, a reminder, as always, to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company. And as such, any and all opinions we express on this show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative, a Disney cast member, for more information to confirm anything that you've heard on this show. Damon, do you have anything you want to promote before we go?
No, not this time around.
All right, cool. Trevor, anything for you?
Nope, I'm all good right now.
All right, good. And I've shut down my travel agency, so we don't need to talk about that anymore. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion and, of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no